there, friends. So fall is finally here, and I don't know about you, but I really start to come alive when the weather cools down. The cogs in my brain start churning, and I don't know, ideas just start flowing for me. Maybe it's a holdover from my younger years, as fall typically is the start of a new school year. Now, I am a little bit of an odd duck in that I loved school. Getting new school supplies, new school clothes, and I don't know, just the anticipation of learning new things. If learning could be a full-time job, I think I would do that in a heartbeat. But lately, I feel like with moving around as much as I have for the past 10 years or so, and just getting older, I realize that I'm not actively learning as much as I really should be or would like to. I mean, I do research and everything for my videos, but I don't know, it just feels different than what I might learn in a structured way. Recently, I saw this idea floating around TikTok about creating your own personal curriculum, and it really piqued my interest. Now, you know that I don't chase trends, but I do think that this is one that I can totally get on board with. I've seen other people talking about their personal curriculums lately, but I wanted to share my own take and just kind of show you how I'm structuring mine in a way that makes sense for me. I received a comment recently on my home economics video, and this person said that they wished that I could give them a list of books so that they could basically teach themselves home economics. And while I would love to do that, it's a lot. And I think that list would be quite long, but it just really got me thinking, why can't we teach ourselves the things that we want to learn about? And then seeing those TikToks, it just kind of pulled it all together. Creating a personal curriculum is just a way to intentionally keep learning. So I'm going to start developing my own personal curriculum for things that I want to learn about. And I hope that this video gives you some tips and tools for creating that for yourself. So why am I doing this? Honestly, it's because I've noticed that I have trouble focusing lately. I'll start watching a video or TV show, and before you know it, I'm on my phone doing 3 other things. I'll listen to a podcast or an audiobook, and half the time I couldn't tell you what I just listened to. I'm constantly multitasking, and it's exhausting. And social media is just adding to that. Instagram is just no longer fun for me anymore as a user and also a content creator. It's just ads and random posts from people that I never asked to see. I hardly ever see posts from people that I follow. And TikTok, that's kind of a hellscape most of the time. And yes, the irony is not lost on me that I saw this idea on TikTok. You know, TikTok is usually the last place that you would expect to find something that feels thoughtful and intentional. But this idea really stuck with me. Now, I'm not saying I'm getting off social media altogether. It's unfortunately a tool that I need for connection with my community, with my friends and family. And like it or not, I get a lot of my news from that. So I don't want it to sound like I'm just running from the problems of the world, but I just need more balance. I miss structure, I miss routine, and honestly, I miss learning. I'm going to be 50 in 6 months. And one of the things that I really thrived on in school was having that sense of purpose, that schedule, and just always having something new to dive into. I also see how online critical thinking is slipping away. Everything's hot takes and surface level outrage. I don't want to fall into that. I want to keep questioning, keep learning more deeply. And that's part of what this personal curriculum is about for me. So what is a personal curriculum? It's a way to learn anything that you have an interest in, by kind of making your own school syllabus, but for life. You pick the subjects, you choose the resources, and you decide how much time you want to give it. It's not about grades or achievement, obviously. It's about being intentional with your time and what you're taking in. It ties in really well with the whole slow living mindset. Instead of just scrolling endlessly, I'm choosing to slow down, picking a subject and give it my attention. It's about creating presence rather than letting my attention scatter in 100 different directions. I think this might be the hardest part for me going forward because honestly, I have so many ideas and things that I want to learn. I'm going to show you in a bit how I organize all of my thoughts, but first let's talk about the subject that I'm going to start with. The women of the Vienna secession movement. We always hear about the men, Klimt, Hoffmann, Wagner, but recently I visited the Leopold Museum and there was a wall of photographs of the people involved in the secession movement. And I was struck with how many women there were among them. And I realized that I only knew maybe one or two of their names. Living here in Vienna, I want to know more about these women, who they were, what they contributed, and why their names have mostly been forgotten. So I started mind mapping ideas for this topic, and I'll be pulling from books, museum catalogs, and online sources. It feels like the perfect way to begin because it's personal to where I live right now, and it connects to my larger love of women's history and forgotten stories. So I mentioned mind mapping for my ideas. If you aren't familiar with what mind mapping is, it's just a way of brainstorming where you start with one idea at the center of the page and then branch out into related ideas. It's very visual, almost like a web, and it just helps you see connections between topics that you might not notice if you were just making a list. It's kind of like reverse engineering for ideas. You start with the macro and then you can get progressively micro with your ideas. I love mind mapping for so many things. I use it in my content creation and even travel planning, but it has a lot of practical applications. Let me show you how it works for me. Now, you can do mind mapping just with a piece of paper or even a digital notebook like GoodNotes. But I've been using this app called Simple Mind, and it just really makes things very easy to put all of my ideas down. Okay, so this is my mind map. I will blow it up for you just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So you can see that I have these different these are my core ideas. So domestic arts, vintage beauty and fashion history, plants, women's history, art history, and content creation. And then off of each one has, we'll look at some of the domestic arts. So practical skills, I want to learn sewing and basic repairs, preserving foods, home organization, embroidery, knitting, crochet. So all of these are just kind of branches off of, each idea that I'm coming up with. So that's basically how brain mapping works. It's a very visual tool to just get all of your ideas down, and then you can go even further than this and get a little bit more nuanced in all of these subjects, but this works really well for me. I'm a very visual learner and a visual person, so having something that is aesthetically pleasing, I like color coordinated things, so this works well for me. So now that I have my first subject, I will show you how I structure everything and what tools I use to keep me organized. So I use Notion, which is basically a digital notebook where you can organize pretty much anything. I use Notion for so many things. It's my content calendar. I use it as a brain dump for ideas, my weekly to-do lists, And now I'm going to use it to create my syllabus and track my progress, so I can keep all of the resources in one place. I, of course, will still use a paper journal to take notes and reflect, and I've got my mind mapping app that helps me to brainstorm my topics. You can pull from a mix of books, articles, magazines, podcasts, YouTube videos, blog posts, and even things like Skillshare or Masterclass are really good resources for learning anything. I want it to be structured enough that I can stay on track, but flexible enough that I don't burn out and feel pressured. Some people I've seen are doing monthly modules, but I really want to set myself up for success, and I'm just going to start off with a semester. I have a few visitors coming in late fall and early winter, and I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I want to give myself enough time to really dig into these courses. So my first module will be for October, November, and December. So I'm planning on setting aside about an hour a day for, 3 to 4 days a week. And I think that's a really good structure for me. I definitely have the time. It's going to cut down on my doom scrolling, which is really what I need. And my husband's actually going to be doing this with me as well. So we're going to set aside some time when he gets home from work that we can, have some parallel play. We'll both be studying our respective courses and, but still be able to spend time together. So for coming up with some of my subjects, I decided to divide my modules into 3 main categories. So it's not so overwhelming. So I'm going to work on some core studies, which are the heavier historical and more academic subjects. And then practical skills, things that I should actually do or practice. And then kind of life enrichment. So the creative or cozy things that just make life feel fuller. That way I can choose from one of these. If I've finished my module that is a little bit more heavy, I can do something a little bit light next time. To make things a little bit easier on myself, I found this Notion template on Etsy for like €5. That way I didn't have to build the complete thing, but I can customize it exactly for my needs. So it's the thing that I love about these templates that you can buy. There are free versions for you through just the Notion app, but they are kind of limited. Something like this, you would definitely need to either build your own or buy a template that you can find. So you can see here that I have my curriculum projects over off to the side. This is where I will add new ones in the coming, semesters. But for now, this is my first one. So this is what I'm working on. And then this is where I will put in all of my tasks. And like I said, I'm going to do them in, week by week. And so, I have a couple of podcasts. I've got a book to read, chapters in books to read. I have a couple of YouTube videos. So you can just put everything in here. You have a media library that you can build up for your particular subject, and then all of your resources. So any links to podcasts or articles, blog posts, YouTubes, anything like that. You can just put all of that together, and then you can kind of section it all out into each week. And as soon as you are done with it, you can click it off. And I love that it kind of gives you a percentage over here, so you'll see your progress, basically how far along you've gotten. And yeah, so that's my dashboard right now for my personal curriculum. If you're not fully versed in how to use Notion, you could use this as one of your subjects if it's something that you want to learn more. It is on one of my subjects because I do want to learn more of the ins and outs of using Notion and how I can use it more. I really love this app. It works very, very well for me, but I know that there's so much more that I can learn about it. But you don't have to use any technology at all. You can use just a regular school journal if that's what works for you. So that's the great thing about all of this personal curriculum is that it's personal. You make it however it works for you. So these are the things that work well for me, that really tickle my brain. So I just wanted to show you what it looked like for me. To keep myself accountable and make sure that I'm actually processing what I learn, I'm building in a few light assignments for each subject. Now, these aren't formal or graded, obviously, just a way to put the information into my own words. I'm going to be doing weekly notes and reflections. As I read, watch, or listen, I'll take notes in my journal or in Notion and then write a short reflection about, what stood out for me. Mini papers. Every few weeks or so, I'll write a short paper, 1 to 2 pages, just summarizing what I've been learning and making connections and adding my own perspective. Think of it as, practice in organizing your thoughts and going a little bit deeper than just your surface level notes. And then a final presentation. At the end of the quarter, I will create a short presentation to give to my husband. It's a way of teaching back what I've learned, which also helps to solidify the knowledge. And like I said, he is also going to be taking this on, so he will give his presentation to me when he completes his course. If the topic feels like a natural fit for my niche, I might adapt that final into a blog post or give my presentation to my Patreon or do a YouTube video so I can share the journey with you as well. So that's my plan. I'm building my own personal curriculum as a way to step back a little bit from the chaos of social media, be more intentional with my time, and bring some structure and slow living into my day. I'll keep sharing updates as I go, but I would love to hear from you. If you were to design your own personal curriculum, what subjects would you start with? Thanks for spending this cozy time with me, and I will see you next time. Stay curious.